Hello guys, and welcome back to another MCreator procedure tutorial. So today we're going to be looking at local variables, which is a kind of variable that is stored for the instance of the procedure. After the procedure is run, the variables are wiped from the memory of the game, so they don't actually store the values for the next instance. In short, the next time the procedure is actually run. There's many different types of variables. I have some set up right now. I have a number variable, logic variable, and string variable. These are the most common types of variables used in MCreator and actually a lot of code. So you will have like number values. This could be floats, or which is like decimal points, or it could be solid numbers like integers, but the value that when you're assigning it to will always be a float, so a decimal point. Booleans will allow you to store true or false statements, so true or false. Those are really common with a lot of things in the procedure editor as well. Strings allow you to store individual string values, so things like text, you can combine text or manipulate certain words. Those are all the main common ones. There's also many other ones that you can select from. If you go to the right hand side here where it says local variables, there's a plus sign and a X sign. If you click the type of variable that you want to select and then click the X, it will delete that variable. If you click the plus icon, you can see this window that pops up here. You would give your variable a name, and then you can basically go ahead and assign a value to the variable. So the variable type is basically what kind of data it's going to be storing. For example, block state is going to store block state data of that block. It's like the block type, the data like rotation, position, and other factors that might be important for later use. That's all block state things. Direction can be for both entities and blocks. You can use that for storing directional data. Entities are good for storing specific entities and compacting down script, especially when you're working with nearest entity. And item stack allow you to store information very similar to how block states works, but for items. So it allows you to store information for that particular item, including MBT variables. Those are all the different types. You should make sure that you're not using the same names as dependencies below. So basically trying to make a position or something like that, which is X, then don't always just name it X. Actually go and change it to something like pause X, and that will work a lot better, because if you try to work with the same variables as the dependencies, it can run into issues and you'll have a really hard time debugging and stuff like that. So make sure your names are unique enough where it won't cause any conflict, and avoid general names that might have issues with conflict, like player or entity or block state or things like that, right? So for this, we're just going to go with like an item stack, and then we're going to do like main item. This should be a fine variable to actually use. So you can see that there is a red icon for this one. Each variable is color coded for what kind of use it is for, and basically what you can do is you can, after you've created a variable, it will show up in the custom variables tab. For local variables, these are updated instantly. For global variables, you'll have to restart your procedure for them to show up in the list here. Now for your custom variables, you have your conditional blocks, which allow you to get the value of those particular things, and then below here you have your set values, which allows you to set those values of the variable. I'll cover the most common ones. I'll let you experiment with the different variable types and storing different data and stuff like that. What I'm going to basically cover is strings, Boolean, and number. Using this very simple method, we're printing out the value directly to console when we're first going to use that value. Now strings will always be empty when they're created. The default value for Booleans is always false, and the default number for number variables is always going to be 0. So if you're working with certain values, then you need to set the value in order to change it. So in this case, I'm setting the string value to Steve, I'm setting the Boolean to true, and I'm also setting the value of the number block to 1.1. This part allows me to get the new values that we basically set, and this part up here allows us to get the default values. Down below here, we're basically just setting the variables to update them for this part. And this is all happening on a block right click. All right, we're in game. I'm going to right click on this grass block here, and we can see the default values that we got from the side that we're working on. We have both client and server up at the moment. We have basically a empty string, which is why nothing was printed out with the first render type. That one basically just means that the string was empty. It doesn't have any assigned value when we're actually creating anything. The Boolean for the variable, the true or false one, that was set to false, and the default value for the number block was 0.0. Then what we did was we printed out the values that we changed after we changed those values. So you can see that the values changed from not having a string to Steve. The value of the Boolean is set to true, and the number block is now 1.1. And this happened on both client and server. So this part synced due to the way that we have our trigger set up. Now for today's assignment, I want you guys to create a Boolean, a string, and a number block. So the same variables that we had in our procedure. And I want you to experiment with creating and printing out different values for these particular variables. So very similar to what we've done here, I want you to kind of print out the variables and see what you've basically created. Also practice on naming your variables as well. And you can also practice on deleting the variables to see how that works. Other than that, that's all for me today. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, comment down below, rate the video, let me know what you liked about it, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace out.